Hello everyone, I'm Arif Fahrudin and welcome to Progressus Asia's channel. Joining us today is Dr. Thomas Wilson, an aqua nutrition consultant who will be talking with us about the 2025 Aqua Nutrition in-person AgriSchool that will be conducted in Bangkok, Thailand from 15 to 18 July 2025. And Dr. Wilson is the main facilitator for this AgriSchool. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope that this is useful. I've been involved as the main facilitator and setting up the original program. The main motivation for me back was to work in the area of development of sustainable. And I had a lot of experience here in Thailand working in the feed company, doing many different things. And then more with this class was helping people who don't really have a deep understanding about aquaculture nutrition, how to, bring their formulations up to date, how to, succeed.
Aqua nutrition is our challenge to balance performance and cost, and now they should also consider about sustainability. Please elaborate more. Will this aspect, sustainability, will be focused more on the AgriSchool 2025?
Well, one of the things that I do in the class is we kind of look at the trends of aquaculture as we see the aquaculture developing in the world. Actually, we start out the first day with this. And then once we understand where aquaculture is going in the world, because there's lots of experts who are forecasting where it's going to go, which we then shift to, well, if those are the fish we're going to have to grow, what kind of feeds are we going to need? And, what do those fish that we're going to be growing, like whether we're going to be growing catfish or we're going to be growing Pangasius or carps or Asian Seabass, what are the feeds that those fish need? And then once we start talking about that, then we start, do we need fish meal?
Yeah.
And if we don't need fish meal, what are we going to use instead? Now, the thing is that a lot of us here in Asia, we depend on imported raw materials. Most of our countries, whether we're talking about Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, we import a lot of our ingredients. South Asia, for example, India, on the other hand, they have a lot of restrictions. The government does not allow them to import in order to protect the local, let's say don't allow them to import, or they put high taxes that don't allow them then to import ingredients at a reasonable cost. And they're stuck with a limited supply of domestic ingredients, and sometimes they're not the best. So we also look at that and say, well, we know what you have. What can we do with that? So I'm not a person who says that fish meal needs to come out. It's a matter of, where should we use fish meal, a limited supply of fish meal, the most efficient way and the most sensible way. And then if we're going to bring in other, ingredients like soy ingredients from soy or from cereals and so on, we need to talk about those as well. So it's not just about saying we're going to take the fish meal out. Well, what are we going to use instead? And so we have to cover that side of it as well. And that's the side that I have quite a lot of experience with.
We are talking about Aqua Nutrition AgriSchool. Is there a common misconception or industry myth in the aqua nutrition sector? And if yes, how can this AgriSchool clear it up?
Well, to a certain extent, we can own the fundamental principles of nutrition, whether we're talking about livestock or we're talking about poultry or we're talking about fish. There's a lot of similarities there. But when we're talking about livestock, we're talking about a very, very limited number of species, and poultry more or less likewise. But when we get to aqua, we then are faced with, like in Asia alone, somebody somewhere is farming up to 200 different freshwater species and up to 60 marine species. So we're not talking about, 3 breeds of chickens or 4 breeds of pigs. We're talking about a number of fish where in many cases we don't know anything at all about their nutrition. And the thing that is important to understand is that while we might have a background in poultry nutrition, there's still enough differences that we really need to know how fish differ. And there are some quite significant differences. We need to explain, how the aquaculture species are different. And I think that we've seen enough cases where someone says, well, okay, well, I've got a background in poultry nutrition, so I'm going to be a great feed formulator for carps. And in fact, it's not that simple. And okay, well, once you understand, the feed formulating for fish is complicated, well, it's not really, but what we have to deal with is that we have many, many species of which almost nothing is known, and we kind of have to figure stuff out. And this is one of the reasons why quite often when we're talking about fish meal replacement, making feeds more sustainable using agricultural products, that very often they don't succeed because they're missing a few essential points that they really need to understand.
Yeah. So this AgriSchool is not only about knowledge sharing, but also practical sessions or workshop, right? Could you elaborate a little bit about the workshops?
So what we have, first of all, a lot of people are interested in formulating feeds. They want help in using feed formulation software. Then how do they coming up with feed formulas that they can use? The first thing that we have to start with is what are the specifications that you're going to use? And this is where it becomes quite difficult when we're trying to do stuff with fish that we don't know anything about. So we promote the understanding of something called the International Aqua Fish Feed Formulation Database. And a lot of the feed formulation software programs now access this as one way for them to find specifications for feeds for different fish at different sizes and ages. And they can formulate their own feeds with all of our instructors are capable of answering questions and giving guidance on how to set the parameters to make feeds that can actually work. So that's one of the hands-on that we do. And another one is we also take a little bit of our time to show people commercial feeds, commercial fish feeds, commercial shrimp feeds, and then allow them to understand how to assess physical characteristics like pellets afloat or shrimp feed pellets sinking, and what about water stability of shrimp feeds, how to judge that. We also take some time to look at different kinds of ingredients, and some of them are local, some of them are imported, and then talk to the participants about what constitutes a good ingredient, how it should look, how it should smell. We cover that as well.
Sounds very interesting. So when it comes to into practice from ingredient selection to formulation of aquafeed, what are other main challenges practitioners in this sector facing so that they need to join this AgriSchool to get the solutions?
Well, we have had already a number of experiences in the past here in Southeast Asia. As far back as about 2006, we had a spike in the price of oil, and then suddenly transportation costs went up, ingredient production costs went up, and we were having a very hard time sourcing ingredients. And then when they arrived, we had a very hard time paying for them because the price had gone up so much. And so suddenly an ingredient that you've been using is no longer available, or you can't afford to buy it. What do you use instead? And, from our practical experience in the past, we realized that sometimes people think, well, this is not different much. I can use this one. And then the result on the farm in the feed performance or animal health or whatever suffers quite a lot. And so here you have a chance to talk to, people who have a lot of practical experience backed up with, technical knowledge. We have, between myself and Dr. Darani and Dr. Nordhat, the three facilitators, all have experience working in the feed industry. And we're available at numerous different times where people have particular questions. They can, always ask them in the Q&A sessions, but also they can just approach us personally, at coffee break and ask us questions and get a one-to-one, face-to-face discussion going on. And that's something that's quite important because, like I bring in 30 years of experience, Dr. Darani is bringing in like nearly 20 years of experience. And that's really the unique thing that you're not going to get anywhere else.
And next that I want to ask is, after completing this AgriSchool, what is your expectation for the participants in terms of skills, mindset, and or future career?
So you do end up with a certificate that you can use back in your work environment to show that you've covered this class. That's an important thing. That's one of the reasons why we issue these certificates. From the other side of things, of course, we don't expect you to just simply, close up the course materials and never think about it again, because you came with a purpose, and we're there to, to help you fulfill that purpose when you go back home. Most of the people are coming out of some aspect of the industry. It might not be working directly with a feed company. It might be working with a feed additive supplier, or maybe somebody who wants to know how to talk with people who are, in the feed companies. And but another thing that you can get that's unique is this ability to learn who other people are who are having the same problems as you. You can begin to network with these people. Then this is also one very important benefit of attending this kind of a class in person.
That's interesting. Yeah. So, Dr. Wilson, for anyone getting information about this AgriSchool but is still in doubt of enrolling, what is your personal message to them?
Well, I would say that what are your alternatives? If you consider the cost of investing in a class like this, first of all, okay, you might have to come to Bangkok, but it's a relatively short time. We really do give you quite a lot of information. I would say that because this class is designed specifically for these participants who are in the feed industry already or beside the feed industry, and we understand what they're lacking in their knowledge or where the gaps are in their knowledge, and we try to fill those. It's a very cost-effective way, instead of having to take much longer and spend a lot more money going somewhere else to learn all of that. Bangkok is a very convenient place for this class to be. It's convenient for everybody in Asia to come here, and almost no time is wasted. Every spare minute is filled with something that you can learn and take home and apply in your work after you return. And of course, then the network allows you to keep getting benefit afterwards.
Okay, thank you very much for your great explanation, Dr. Wilson. So everyone, I want to inform that Progressus Asia will be conducting the 2025 Aqua Nutrition AgriSchool from 15 to 18 July 2025 in Bangkok, Thailand. So click www.progressus.asia for more information and to register. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this discussion.